Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am so pleased you are able to join me this fine evening. Your timing could not have been better, as I was looking for a volunteer for my next experiment. Do not fret. I already tested it on some prisoners, and the results were very enlightening. You are needed for this experiment so we can save our kingdom from its financial woes. Yes, what is this experiment? It is my time machine, of course. We shall plunder... obtain the treasures of the past and restock the king's vaults. This is a just cause, you see. Yes, just indeed. And whence to send you? That is another good question, for which I obviously already have the answer. Thanks to my scryculations, I know exactly the time and place to send you. Please just sign on the dotted line, here. Oh, don't worry about the experiment disclosure text at the bottom. I just need to calibrate the machine. Fortunately for you, there are riches to be had. My apparatus is already set, so you can be debriefed by Ramble Shamble.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ramble Shamble. Today, I am joined again by my co-host, Mackie.
Hello.
Yes, and we chose an interesting topic for today, a nice fictional scenario that I had the pleasure of setting up. But before we get to that, we're getting quite close to the festive season. Well, I'm sure this is going to come a while after. But Mackie, tell me, are there any kind of things around the festive season, Christmas and New Year's, that you make sure that you do every single year, or that you enjoy doing around this time of year?
Oh, I love talking about the past to the people in the future, because by the time this episode comes out, those people will probably be saying, "Geez, remember that day back in 2022 when that thing happened and was so relevant at that time, like Will Smith slapping that guy on the Oscar stage?" But no, it's one of those weird things where a recording comes out much later than obviously at what's relevant to today. And as the audience probably can tell, we record these episodes way in advance because we have a lot of episodes coming your way, and you should be excited because we're here to stay.
Can't get rid of us, people.
So, in terms of traditions, not really. Look, when I was younger, we would obviously go get a tree, and that is one of the traditions that my family like to do. Is that myself and my I would be one of the people to be designated decorator of the tree, and then these will be these like little wooden Christmas toy doll men that you could just like hang on the tree, and that would be my box to unpack. But yeah, no, Christmas is a very special time where the whole day, my family, we stay in like a single room if we are to stay inside for the day. And by single room, I mean that we all play games, chat openly. So we have a much more festive time. We get out the party games, the board games, and we spend pretty much the whole day playing games while our father, he would be prepping something like really elaborate for dinner that will take like 8 hours to cook. And by the time it's like gets to dinner, we all like sit at the table, present all this amazing, delicious, mouth-watering food, and yeah, we have a really fun, fulfilling day on Christmas. And yourself, Jotun?
So, our family is also very similar. We spend a ridiculous amount of time cooking the food and waiting for the food to cook, because we're Afrikaans and we like we really pack it away on Christmas. And then for the most part, like, we're one of those families that we generally do our own thing most of the time. But come Christmas, then like we're a very musical family. So my dad will play the piano, and then we'll all sing like Christmas carols for an hour together. And we generally watch something together as well, although it might not necessarily be Christmas themed. Like the one year we were watching Vikings, and the other year we were watching The Witcher. But we generally watch something together. And
The Witcher, quite a festive movie,
yeah, yeah. I think we're gonna watch Die Hard this year because that's a Christmas classic.
100%.
But anyway, we have at least 2 big meals. We have a big Christmas lunch and a big Christmas dinner, and then come evening time, we're all pretty tired from all the food, and so most of the family goes to bed early. But I don't really go to bed early. I'm actually a night owl, so I rather get less sleep on Christmas Eve to have more Christmas time, and then still go to bed late on Boxing Day.
When was the last time, like, did you always believe in Santa Claus, or was there ever a time that you always knew that it was your parents, but you kind of wanted to believe in the superstition?
I'm not exactly sure, eh?
So I don't think I was ever like someone that would be saying, "Oh, there's definitely Santa." I remember being young and then obviously being surprised by all these randomly presents lying by the tree. But don't get me wrong, it was a real big surprise. But when my parents said, "Oh, it was Santa Claus," I didn't necessarily like say, "Oh, that must be Santa Claus." I kind of like said, "I don't know where these presents came from, but yeah, they can." I'm still very surprised. There's a lot of open presents by the tree. I want to open them, but don't know who brought them.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. I don't remember my memories from those days that well. And I don't think there was even a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, Santa isn't real. Like
Me
lies.
too.
What have I been led to believe all my life?
Mom, Pop, you
Yeah.
tricked me. Yeah.
And to the best of my knowledge, in South Africa, I don't think that belief in Santa is that big a thing. Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, it is a bit of a question mark. So I actually don't know anyone who's like was so fully invested by the jolly fat man coming down the chimney to drop off the presents to all the good boys and girls. Because even if like I know a kid who was like really bad, he would still get like this awesome remote control car. So I think that like the badness of getting a lump of coal was not really implemented. So I don't know. Like I agree with you. I don't think it was a huge thing in South Africa. Could be corrected.
Yeah. Everybody who disagrees, let us know. But anyway, Santa brings gifts to everyone, and like that's a very happy time of year, and children really look forward to it. But I thought of having a different kind of wealth be the topic of today's episode. But before we get to that, Mackie, how it can sometimes be hard to find interesting podcasts and stuff like ours. Where exactly can everybody find us, this podcast?
Oh yes, everyone from the future. This is Mackie from the past, who's now going to be telling you where you can currently find us on, or to just chat with us in Ramble Shamble. Now again, but at this time, Twitter's still going through the works, and we are making our presence a little bit more known on Twitter, so we try to post up the notifications there, because who knows, Twitter's going to be more free of a channel. Maybe I'm like predicting here, and you guys can maybe praise me because I'm correct in the future, is that Twitter's planning to release videos there, and who knows, we might transfer some videos to Twitter. But if not, we are on YouTube, and Ramble, and Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and a number of other platforms that you guys can just kind of find us. But the best way to talk to us, like usual, is Discord. And on Discord, you can basically chat with us, game with us, share podcast ideas, comment on the different episodes that we've done so far. Even if it's an old episode, we would still love to hear you guys' opinion on these certain matters. And those comments are also really handy for our Ramble Shamble, which is all those little bits and pieces where Jotun's always the best to do describing the little bits and pieces.
We have this thing called Ramble Shamble, where we take your guys' input and any kind of answer that you give us based on the questions that we ask you inside the main episode, so that we can use your feedback to make even more content that you guys want. Now, we know that you guys actually want this content because you suggest the topics inside some kind of chat, inside the YouTube comments or Discord chat, even on the social media. If you guys, hit us up over there with a topic that you guys find interesting and the answers that we ask for inside of the main episodes. Who won the episode? Who had the better argument? What about this aspect of what we were talking about? And we take that and riff about it for just 15 to 20 minutes, spin a yarn about that, and provide our insights, because we have such massive brains, about what you guys want us to talk about. We can't think about every single topic under the sun, or even about everything having to do with a single topic. And that's why we rely on your guys' input to make a better thing. Yeah, so please answer the questions that we ask and let us know what we should talk about next. Okay, so let's get to the actual topic of today. I told you a while ago that we should act like we are pirates and we get to choose any loot, any hoard from the past that we want to rob or snag. And I just thought that's really cool. Basically, we're time traveling pirates. But then you started to ask me a few more questions about the topic. And so, yeah, I had to concede and say that there have to be a few rules about going about this. Basically now, the rules are, you are a guy from our time now who finds a time traveling device, but you don't know exactly how it works. All that you know is that you can go back to one point in the past to pull off the greatest heist ever. And then, well, not heist. A heist is when you assemble like a team of people. Rather, you can loot any treasure from the past and come back to the present with that loot, and that's it. You don't get to go like hopscotch to all your favorite places from the past. And I also said that wherever you go, and this is where I'm going to catch you out if it doesn't make sense. Wherever you go, you are limited to the technology of the past. The unique thing that you have to your advantage is knowing about the events in our history and how you can basically just be a smart ass and take it at the right time so that you can actually get away with it and pull this looting off. But like, I can't go to the the tomb of a pharaoh and try to like overpower all of the slaves and guards with guns, because guns didn't exist in that time. You're limited to the technology over there in that time period, and you have to pull this off now using that, but also using your superior knowledge of that.
A superior brain.
Yeah, and so that's it. That's all the rules. Otherwise, all of history is your play. It's your play pit, your sand pit. Have fun. Sandbox, I mean.
Okay. Do you want me to go first, or are you gonna regale us of your perfect heist?
I think that I'm gonna let you go first over here.
Okay.
Because I know that you're a really preppy person, and you probably have like a whole stack of notes.
Oh,
so
look, you can hear it.
You're probably like just bursting at the seams to get to your go over here.
Oh,
So
I
I'm
am.
going to let you have that chance.
Okay, so like Jotun likes to do, I will mention the one that I have done extensive research on and why I think it's the perfect heist. Now, I won't bore you guys because there's a lot of details, but I thought when Jotun posed this question, I was thinking that probably the best, like the best treasure to steal is one that was never recovered in our time. Because like time travel, not knowing which time travel it does affect, I think if I stole, like, say, the Mona Lisa as it was just painted, the Mona Lisa wasn't that popular as soon as it was completed. It needed the time and obviously that kind of stuff. And if I were to take it at a later stage, it might affect history in a different way. We might have different things. We might have dogs driving cars. Who knows? So I decided to go for a treasure that was lost to time, where it was still existent, don't get me wrong, but because we were unable to find it. Now, I thought that was just like the perfect one, because now it poses the question, have I already stole that loot? Am I sitting upon a fortune that only the audience knows now? Who knows? So, with that long intro kind of concluded, I decided to go for...
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Now, I would love Jotun to correct me on the pronunciation of this word. Is San Jose a Spanish vessel that was...
San Jose.
San Jose.
It's got to come from the throat.
Thank you, Jotun.
San Jose.
San Jose. So...
Well done on making Spanish sound French.
San Jose. Okay. I could say that for like the rest of the evening.
Or Italian, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, you could be an Italian chef.
I probably could if I had enough practice. Who knows? But the San Jose ship, basically a Spanish fleet that has been recently found. I will admit it. So the audience might say, oh, but Mac, you broke it. No. The reason why I say that ship, because it technically was found, but I still think that it was so recent that it's still possible that I could kind of get away with it. So the San Jose ship, a Spanish fleet, in the past, the Spanish were during their time, would loot from massive areas. Loot, I mean, like not just the Brits used to loot and pillage. So did the Spanish. And they would carry these massive hordes of loot on these ships and sail them across wherever they needed to go. And San Jose was one of those ships. Now, the particular year and day, I have that jotted down because obviously I can only go back to one day in time. So on June 8th, 1708, that's the date that the heist is going to occur. However, I will be there a few months early, so a few months before June, so maybe August. Sorry, not August, sorry. Apologies. Like May, for the purpose of during May, that was when San Jose was basically looting from Panama. So they were busy gathering the loot and all the treasure that they could gain from Panama. And I would try get into that day, the day where they were looting. So they were basically holding everything on the ship to set sail. And I would initially, this is how the heist would go. I would arrive at Panama with the people all confused. So before I would leave to go in this time machine, I would dress up in the apparel that the Spanish people used to wear back in that time. Now, obviously, I cannot speak a word of Spanish.
Let's be honest. You could go to a costume store and get like cheap plastic stuff, and you would
100%.
probably be able to look like that.
Yeah, 100%.
So everybody, this wouldn't even be an expensive like get up.
Oh,
You could easily just go to a costume store and look like a Spanish conquistador, probably.
yeah. And I'll choose like an outfit that makes me look like a proper, like almost like a slave. Like people know I'm there, but they don't want to spend a day or a minute of time with me because they see me and they say, oh, look at that dirty filth. I don't want that guy anywhere near me. He can stay down by the slaves and just do all the busy work. So I would dress up, blend with the crowd to help load all the items and stuff. So I'll kind of put myself in amongst the crew, but I wouldn't stand out. I will try to do, not the minimum amount of work, but enough work to kind of do what I need to do so they don't get upset with me, but not enough work that they kind of notice me that I'm a hard worker. So I'll try to stay by myself, do what I can do to assist where possible. And basically, when it comes to the day, June 8th, 1708, probably a week or two before. Now, those ships, obviously, during that time, they didn't have these massive fridges that they could travel on their ship. Most of their food, water, and rations were very... there was an incredibly high chance of it becoming spoilt. So, in other words, people got the craps or the shit nuggets all the time. And it's not unusual for that to occur. So I thought, okay, if I can kind of, obviously this has to be of the items in the past, if I can just get some of that spoiled like rat meat or feces or that kind of thing and start mixing it with water supply while having my own little personal pouch of water like a week before, so I'll be rationing this water like forever. But just like putting a whole bunch of like rat feces into the water and the food supply, where at the time, by the time it gets to that particular day, everyone will be crapping themselves, be sick on the floor, be having weird diseases, and there wouldn't be much of a fight. So at that point, on that particular day of 8th June 1708, a British vessel will come by and kind of blast that ship to pieces. It kind of destroys the entire fleet and then gets sunk. But before that, since the guards will be on the floor or being not in a position to fight really well, I would knock them out if they were to be still standing up, because I would be able to kind of, in like a casual way, like I'll go to them and then pow, try to knock them out, because they will be a bit weak due to the lack of food, or if they did eat, they would be just too weak because they're too sick. I unlocked the vault, and Jotun did acknowledge the fact that I could steal the whole treasure. Now that on board of that ship,
basically it's a black hole. You can just dump everything.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to get the treasure to your time machine. That's the one kick.
Okay, so
you got to be able to carry it. It's not like you can take the time machine and open it like a bag somehow and like put it on the treasure and have it all disappear. No, you got to like dump buckets of the treasure into the time machine.
Okay, but can the time machine be portable? Like I can.
You've got to. I can to shrink it inside of it.
Yeah, so obviously, but I mean, like, can it like shrink to like say something I can carry, and then if I want to use it, obviously, like if I want to take the loot or if I want to go into it, I have to unshrink it. So that's what I mean by like it's portable. Like I can shrink it to a handheld device, and then when I need to use it, I can press a button and then expand.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Oh, that was going to ruin up a whole plan.
I'll allow it, but it's got to be a craft of some device.
Oh, 100%.
So, like, let's say, have you watched the movie The Time Machine?
I think I have. I don't think I remember it.
Okay, let's say basically it's the size of a smart car.
Okay.
And it needs, and it has an entrance through which a person can fit for you to get inside.
Perfect.
But you can't make it like 5 times that size to fit the whole treasure hoard within one opening.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So I'll say it's got to be a craft, and then you can shrink it. I don't mind.
And you can store as much loot. Obviously, if it's like a giant gold statue, I wouldn't be able to stuff it in.
Yeah.
But if it's like coins and stuff, I can store as many coins as I would like.
Yeah.
Okay, then that doesn't ruin my plan, because how I understood the prompt when you rated to me is that I still had to get in the area, and if I'm in the loot area, obviously I want to make a quick escape to go back to my own time. But if I need to now take this loot out of the area and to my time machine, makes it a whole different scenario.
Okay. Let's mix IPs a little bit. Let's say it's one of those capsules from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I like that.
You can make it into a vehicle, and then you can shrink it back up again.
Perfect.
Isn't that even called Capsule Corp?
Yeah,
or something?
It's called Capsule Corp.
Company?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, my knowledge isn't out of date.
So basically, back to the scenario. So guards crapping on the floor or too weak to fight off. Now, on that particular day, I will open the gate with the lock, because they would have it. So they will store the treasure. So I did study the ship before this episode, and I could be wrong. And please, Jotun, this is where I would greatly like to hear your input.
Watch, Mackie just have like blueprints of the ship, saying like, I will go through the front entrance, lower the boarding plank, put everything inside. Yeah. whatever. Yeah,
well,
but go on.
Well, that's the thing. So from the ship layout, I would say that the gold and the loot would be placed near the bottom of the ship, the bottom back of the ship, not near the front, because if it's near the front, any holes would cause damage to the wealth, the loot. So it would be near the bottom of the ship, near the back. That's how I understand it. Now, Jotun, you might know this bit, and that's just my engineering mind that makes more sense to it. So obviously I would...
No, that seems perfectly logical.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to put it at the actual hull of the ship, because if you do come aground somewhere, or if you there's just like unexpected rocks or something, then you're right, it would just leak out. And plus, if you look at the design of galleons, then that is where either crew quarters would be, or the brig of the ship would be, or maybe even the captain's quarters.
Yeah.
So that seems like a logical place. Yeah.
So I would take the key to the cell of the vault, open it up. So now the guards have been, the two guards, or there would be basically two guards, because I'm attacking this time when the ship is about to be attacked. So they know it's battle station. So any able people will be readying up the cannons, will be rushing around shouting orders and telling people to not cry and poop on the floor at the same time. It doesn't make sense. And I'll be underneath, took out the guards that were kind of looking after the vault and opened the vault. From there, now I will tell you the loot. So the total amount of loot in the ship consists of gold coins, silver coins, and emeralds, which in today's currency, if I were to bring all that gold and that loot, or that entire stash of loot to this year, would be worth $17 billion, American dollars. So it's quite a hefty amount of loot. Now, I'm not saying that I would be able to take the entirety of that loot, because again, the ship is about to go down with a lot of crashing, and I don't want my time machine to be damaged. So obviously, people have seen this British ship come in this way, and I have an idea like, hey, now these guys are going to be too preoccupied with that. I'm going to go into the vault, grab a few gold coins, and then pull guys aside and basically bribe them with the money. By bribing, I would bribe them into helping me load as much of the gold, the silver, the emeralds into the ship, and they can take into my vessel. So I'll pop the capsule, throw it near the entrance, and show them, because I can't speak Spanish, so this would be very hard to communicate without it. Show them me stuffing it in the ship, and then they can take as much as they want. Again, they might just take the loot and just start running, but hopefully that can bribe them enough or confuse them enough to kind of show them they must just load it into this vessel. So I'm willing to accept here as a kind of like say, okay, this is actually how much loot you're going to be able to take. Roughly, say, a third, if I'm lucky, before the ship starts getting explosions. And as soon as I see like the first explosion or the first kind of warning shots start going off, I'm immediately going in my time machine and escaping back into the future. That's my strategy. So I would say I'd get a few billion out of that to have all that delicious wealth in my hands. I'll be an instant billionaire. So I think it was a decent time heist. What do you think? I think you're going to kill me though.
Okay, so I had a very similar idea, but not exactly the same idea.
Okay.
Now, my plan was not to go for the San Jose gold, or the let me just say it like a Californian, the San Jose gold.
Yeah. That's not how I said it.
But rather, I thought, what would be the treasure in history that would be the least amount of effort for me to acquire it? And so my mind also immediately jumped to the Spanish going to the Americas.
Okay.
But I thought, you know what? Coincidentally, when Cortez went to the Americas to go colonize over there, he was heralded by the Aztecs as a god, and they basically gave him
smooth.
all of that gold. And so I thought, you know what? I should actually just go there like a year before Cortez went there and just like show up and be there, and the Aztecs would just give me all of their gold as a god. So basically, I would go there, probably to like their temples, and just like miraculously show up in my time machine.
Oh, no, that's
they would
using
be
the
like-
future. Wrong tool then, my friend. You have to make that thing
How
hidden.
so?
Because remember, you said you can't use anything from your current time, only their time. So if you use your time machine to magically appear, you immediately like saying, "Hello, time police. This guy is now coming from a distant future." Yada. That's what I was told, at least. No using anything from the future.
Yeah, but surely there's the exception of the time machine itself.
I guess,
being the
actually, no, but I
technology.
also use my time machine. Yeah, I guess so. That makes sense. But I say
Yeah,
that, then my one
so-
doesn't work.
Yeah. So I just show up in the time machine in their temple, and then they're like, holy crap! They like this guy just teleported here, and he's got this white skin. He must be a god. And so then I just go there, and I basically just show up, and they would give me all of their treasure, and I'd just be like, well, put it in over here inside my magic portal, and like the gold would just disappear, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, like how is he doing that? And all of that. And then I don't even need to do any work or anything. I'm just living there being pampered while they're just shoveling all that gold and all those jewels in there.
But, okay.
So, yeah. And then, geez, I don't even know if they, like, what the limit to that value would be. Like, because I wouldn't have the trouble of hauling it all off on side of a Spanish galleon. That, you know, there's the risk of it sinking, maybe. You can't overburden the ship or anything like that. I don't have to spread it out over various galleons to make, because logically speaking, even with like the East India Trading Company, you can't put all of the valuable things that you want to ship over the ocean on one ship, because casualties do happen. And so you got to try spread out your investment on like 5 galleons or something, or even more than that, so that when a storm on the ocean hits, then you don't lose everything, even though you do expect some kind of a loss with your investments and your trading. And so that risk doesn't even exist for me. It just goes straight in the time machine, and once they're like, oh, like all the gold is done, that's about as much as we can afford, then I'm like, okay, your reward will come soon. And then I just get in the ship and the machine and disappear. And then in the future, nobody's vetted all of this gold that's come with me. And like basically I don't have to, there's no record of it. I don't have to worry about like not being able to sell it to vendors and things. Or they would probably be like, where the hell did you get it from?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like trying to steal the crown jewels of England.
Oh, sure.
And then being like, really, dude, like, we know where this comes from. How the hell did you get it? Or even like trying to burgle the Scottish Yard when it was just started or something. Like, this treasure that we got, totally unprotected, basically. There's no danger to you really to try to acquire it. And nobody from the future can refer to some kind of a record and say, but this is this gold. Like, how the hell did you get it? It's clearly not a counterfeit. So, yeah, I had a very similar plan to you.
I do say, look, I didn't take into account, or I didn't really consider the kind of like, now I got this loot, now how do I sell it part, because that's going to be a whole another can of worms to debuckle. But I will say there's one glaring flaw to your plan, but I can see it, you could still kind of get around it if the people are, as we expect them to be, civilized to some extent. Because again, we don't know what those kind of people were back then. Maybe they were cannibals. We don't know. We know they did a lot of sacrifice and would look at you as a god because you just appeared in like a bright, shining light. I assume that's how you appear. but communication is going to be a huge problem barrier for you unless you know how to speak to them. Like, would you like show them, and obviously you would portable, like they will like pull you aside, poke you, feel you, then they'll all be worshiping you on the floor. And I guess you could still like communicate without like showing signs, but it'll take you quite a while. What do you think?
How would you speak Spanish to the?
Like I said, I'm not going to say a word to them. I was going to like kind of just hide, be like a complete abnormality where I am not going to speak to anyone. I'm not going to like get close to anyone. I'm just like basically there, working what I need to do. And then when I get to the point where I kind of bribe people to help me, I got around that by saying that I'll bring coins or some of the gold, show them, and then show them me stuffing my ship there, and then I would say, here you go. And if they were to like hide a few coins in their pockets, it's fine. I would still get the manpower to help me load as much of the loot as possible before the British ship starts engaging in battle.
I would basically do the most obvious kind of like physical acting and using just like physical body language, like to show them I'm hungry. I would like point at my mouth and rub my stomach so that they can bring all their food and stuff.
I can tell what they're going to do. They're going to look at you and they're going to do the same thing you do, like and then they're going to do the same
And like I'm a god, so they wouldn't bring me like their most common food. They would want to spoil me as well. And then I would like, it's in the temple where there would probably be gold because it's also something that they valued. So I'd show the thing, like I'd indicate to the golden thing, pick it up, and they wouldn't do anything to me. I mean, I'm a god. And I like pick it up and like chuck it inside the time machine. And then I'll show them, you there, you pick up gold and throw it in the time machine.
And you see this guy go like pick a coin and then drop it there, and then they go
Yeah, basically, like granted, we'll have to resort to basic human body language, but I think you'd have to do that basically in any time. Even if you went to an English speaking place. Geez, you've got maybe up until the time of Shakespeare, and then like 100%. The language, like the communical language just breaks down before that. Yeah, and so that is what I'm putting forward to you. But I do have a runner-up. Do you have a runner-up as well?
I have a funny runner-up, but it's not very as well thought through as my initial one. But I love your plan because it's simple, and I have to agree, it is pretty genius to go back in the time to the simpler days. I just had the kind of factors that I didn't pick one of those things, but that's where my run-up is going to come up as well. Okay, should I say my run-up then?
First, I want to comment on yours.
Yes.
So I thought while you were saying your thing that I could do yours better.
Oh, 100%.
But then I thought like it kind of relies on technology from the future or a medicine of the future. Like just, it would be so easy if you could just go into the past with like roofies
or
psychedelics.
Oh, 100%.
And then you just like make everybody just trip balls on the ship. Like they're not paying attention. They don't know what's going on. Show up a week before the English come and attack. Everyone's just like, no idea what's going on. They're all just like seeing bright colors and hearing sounds and tasting vision and stuff. Just like go there with a whole bunch of LSD basically. And then you could just do whatever you want, take all the treasure. But then I thought like, okay, but can't take technology. I do guess medicine counts as technology. But what you could have done is you could have like acquired ayahuasca or something from the Americas before you left and then drugged the hell out of the ship. And then everybody would be basically vomiting their guts out for like 2 days or something.
True.
So they
100%.
Also would be out of action.
But you see, the one of the things was for me is that I had to make it seem like the timeline would still be fixed. So I still needed to get the people to the ship to the battle, so it's still sync. So then the loot would
Yeah.
still could be considered lost. So I could still get away with as much as I could, and the timeline would still technically be safe because the treasure was lost. Obviously, in 2018, they
Yeah.
did find the ship. I don't think they found all the loot, so technically I could still say, look, I still consider to say keep the timeline safe enough. Again, like Jotun said, this loot was not really vetted, and obviously it was lost at a certain time, so I just found it. Finders keepers.
Yeah. So I wouldn't give a shit about the timeline, to be honest. Just steal the stuff and disappear. So I think the biggest way, I think it's actually kind of necessary that you do preserve the timeline to some extent, because any place where you can severely disrupt the timeline is actually a place where the treasure itself is very well guarded. And so, you know, good luck even taking on three warriors who have been training as a warrior their entire life.
Yeah. 100%.
And now I just like show up there, try to take a hatchet or a sword or something, and try to take out 3 professional warriors.
Not
I
gonna
wouldn't
happen.
stand a chance.
Wouldn't
I wouldn't
happen.
even stand a chance against a single one of them,
Yeah.
except for by some absolute fluke.
No, 100%. That's why, for your case, I think with the time machine that they would consider you a god, even with your modern day clothing. But I wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to get away with that with the Spanish because they would be too protective or on their like valuable treasures. They wouldn't consider me as a god. They would consider me as like
Yeah.
this entity that must be destroyed, and then we'll take whatever we find.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought during the time when they're loading, that's like the best time to just kind of like join the loading team. They like say, "Oh, this guy's helping me. Why would he help me?"
Yeah.
But yeah, should I give my funny runner up? It's a bit more casual.
Briefly give your runner up, yeah.
So now that we know pretty much where all these special gold veins are in America, I would travel back to the rustling, bustling cowboy times where gold was a thing to be found, and if you found a vein, you'll be filthy rich. And I would I'll get a special stick, and this stick would not be special in any ways, but I would sell it to be a very, very special stick. And my strategy is, so with my special stick, I would go to a big corporation. Apple was non-existent during that time, but an organization as big as like similar to Apple, where of that size, where the entrepreneurs are hungry for wealth and would find the easiest, most profitable way to find it. And I would approach them.
Whoever built the American railway
Exactly.
system, probably them.
Yeah. So I would approach them and say, "Good day, sir." And obviously I will try to adopt the best cowboy or American accent I can. Or I might just stick to the normal and say, "I'm a traveling man from a distant land, and I have a special stick." Well, no, sorry, I wouldn't call it a special stick. I have a special tool that helps me find a massive gold vein.
Accent. Oh, do you hear the crowd? The crowd we all want to hear this cowboy accent of yours.
I haven't done
Come
one
on,
in so long.
Slap on that thick Texas accent.
I'll have to. Nah, sorry, not this time round. I'll brush it up in a future episode. I'll probably next episode I will do a cowboy accent for you guys. Better listen to it. I'll put a lot of effort and work into it.
I think my accent would kind of come out Australian or
100%.
or New Zealandish or Kiwi.
100%. So I would approach them with my howdy do stick and tell them, "Good day, sir. We got this stick or this tool that helps me find the best gold veins in this here land. And all I need is your money to help me initially find these gold veins. I take 10%, you take 90%. No lower, no higher." So basically they would obviously be some negotiations and some proof to show off, and then I'll show the first vein, give them the full 90%, and say, "Don't worry, once that vein is running a bit short, I'll show them to the next vein, until I get like a nice storage." And I'll say, "Yes, I got one last gold vein that I think I can find with my here tool, and with this vein, all I'm asking is that we keep the gold in all the same place, because it's really important for really making this tool more powerful so that they know that this tool gets better range for some stupid reason. The more gold is in a more central location, so I can use the power of the gold to find more gold. Makes sense, right? And with this tool, the very last gold vein that I would research would be the largest. And with the gold all in one central location, I would then, because they would trust me so much, because I'll just be like giving them so much wealth so quickly, so fast, I'll probably have special access to go visit the gold area. And I'll just start dumping gold and just spending my like day after day just dumping more and more gold in my time machine, dumping, and just gone. And I would leave the stick behind. So just leave my calling card just on the floor.
And then you'll get back to your current like your actual time.
Yeah.
And then you'll just read the history books about this one guy that came back in time and showed all this gold to the people.
Well, not even this guy that came from back to the time. Like,
oh yeah, this guy that just showed up one day. This visionary, this absolute seer, and he left behind his device, and then like a bunch of stupid monkeys or stupid apes, they were all just like trying to use the stick, and they can't find out how does this technology work? How did this guy get the stick to show them where all the gold is? And they tried to, they conducted like research on it, and it took them a decade, but they couldn't find it out.
And because they are big entrepreneurs, I also think the fact is that they would not want this to be let out to the press, that they got fooled by a hustler who claimed that you could find all this gold, which he did, but now all the gold is gone, and the tool that he's so-called used is on the floor. And when they obviously done investigations on how to use this tool, they realized it was just a stick. And I think they would keep it under wraps, because I don't think they would like their public appearance to be humiliated by the fact that they got tricked by a guy with a stick.
Jeez, dude.
How evil is that, though?
Smart. Get the natives to do grunt labor for you.
Oh, big time. But that would, the only reason why I didn't say that was my front runner is because it would take time. Like, I would be gone for like years just to get all that gold. Because the longer as I spend, obviously, the more gold I'll get. But obviously, I don't want to be stuck in that area for like 3 years, because that area was pretty dangerous. But yeah.
Yeah, there's like a sweet spot you got to aim for.
Yeah.
Enough money so that maybe your grandkids will also live wealthily.
Yeah.
But then after that, I mean, there's only so much life you can live, you know? So then back to the future.
True.
Where there's Wi-Fi and tech and video games.
Okay, so this here is...
My runner-up is one called the Lemminkainen Gold, which is based off of a popular figure inside the Kalevala, which is the national mythological epic of Finland. And this treasure hoard, which is like 15 billion pounds worth of gold, or about $20 billion, was all discovered inside a temple in, I believe it's in Finland, in 1984. So what I would do is just discover it in 1980 instead.
Oh,
but then
smooth.
not release it to the press or anything like that. Just like show up with a few tractors or something, or a few trucks, and remove the temple doors and just take it all. Yeah.
Jeez. Smooth, quick, and effective.
Nobody discovered in the past. Nobody knows about it. It's just like this treasure hoard in some underground temple.
Yeah. Actually, very clever. I also thought about that, but I thought that how would I find it if it's not, the location was never found? But I guess if you focused on a treasure that was found, we'll just not see it in the future then. Okay, I'll give you that.
So the reason why I didn't use this as the main thing is that I got to do all the work to get the gold, whereas with the Aztecs, they would do all of it for me.
Mush.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Man, geez. If I had that much gold, dude. Yo, I don't even know.
Yo, dude.
Feed all the hungry in Africa, like after I take a slice enough for myself to start an awesome gaming studio or game dev studio and live comfortably till at least my grandkids, and then feed the hungry in Africa or something. I don't know.
Or be like every other
fund
billionaire and hold all the money to yourself until you're about to die, then give all the money away because you're about to pass away anyways.
No, I'd be a massive philanthropist and fund the building of an electric supplier, an electricity and supplier that actually works
Yeah, that's
instead
true.
of ESCOM.
I can imagine. You wouldn't be living in the same country if you had that money, dude. Don't be honest.
Totally different.
Like
Yeah,
you
that's
would still
actually
live in South Africa, don't get me wrong, but I think you would also start traveling, buy property
No.
overseas.
I would buy like all of Lesotho and make it my own enclave, my own country inside of South
100%.
Africa.
That's clever.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. Now you bring the money into wise things. I haven't even thought about those money things.
Okay, everyone, please tell us whose treasure do you think was the actual biggest looting of all time, or would be in that scenario, and who had the more interesting runner-up as well? What treasure would you try to hit in the past? Mackie, where can everybody find us again before we finish off this episode? Are there any questions that you want to ask?
I think you've well, no, I just would be curious to know, obviously, obviously the times where would be the best time to hit. That would be an obvious one. But would you do anything special, like in my runner up as a calling card? Would you do something that would just like you could take out one thing and then you would just leave behind one little trace of your possible existence that would just kind of tease the mind, like just leaving a simple like calling card. Like in Ocean's 11, it was Ocean's 12, where the guy would leave a shaped fox, origami style. But yes, to conclude the episode, guys, just very briefly, you can again find our episodes on almost every podcasting platform. And we also post these to YouTube and Ramble as much as we can. YouTube is more consistent, and we do appreciate you guys giving us all the likes, 5 stars, and everything that you can find on those different platforms. And if you guys don't know, we do have a gaming channel called Ramble Shamble. And if you guys did enjoy this, don't forget, we do post these episodes every Thursday. And if you didn't quite like this episode, feel free to listen to another episode. There's a variety of topics that we have tackled, and the list will just keep on growing. So we'll definitely nail 1 or 2 episodes that pique your interest, and maybe that will pique your interest to explore topics that you were not too aware of or didn't really ask yourself in that current time. But until then, your comments are very powerful to help power our smaller, yet not any less significant, Ramble Shrapnel. Jotun, take it away.
Ramble Shrapnel is our way of showing you guys that we care about what you think, right? Most podcasts out there, they don't really give a crap about their audience in terms of how they can contribute to their channel beyond the views and like the reviews, like a 5-star review or anything. We do really appreciate that, and we really would like it if you guys give us a like and a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. But the way in which you guys can contribute the most towards our podcast is by leaving us a comment, letting us know in one of the various social medias what you think we should talk about next and who won this week's competition.
It was me.
Like, who had the better treasure heist?
It was me.
Who was the better pirate,
Me.
right? Who was the better pirate? Who had the better runner-up? And probably the most interesting, what treasure loot would you try to loot from the past? Yeah, let us know in one of our social media or inside the comments. Thank you again for joining us today inside of this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.